Yeah, so I feel like everybody needs to have some failures in their life. So
I've had multiple.
in order to get better, you have to fail at something.
So, Billy Nicoll, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going?
Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I made a little intro yesterday, which was the dealership meeting when all the team was there, and I had to we're going through what last week's numbers were and what was going on in the shop and kind of in the dealer lab downstairs of Moto Julia. And in it, Billy's standing there like the new guy in the corner. And this staff is not surprised at this point that like almost every week a new person would show up and be like, hey, and here's your new coworker, because you're like adding constantly adding more people. But this time I introduced Billy as the most badass service manager that I've ever worked with. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass, I guess. That would be, I don't know which term that would be.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
I feel like I learned a lot from you, a ton from you.
Yeah. How do y'all meet? What's your story?
Good question.
Thanks.
I'll let you say it.
Yeah, no problem. I think we were in Minnesota, if I remember right. We were at a
Polaris.
It was a
training.
Polaris Indian / service meeting. And you were talking about how you had taken this dealership here with 3 technicians and done about, I think you said 880,000 labor dollars a year. And I was like doing the math, and I had just gotten off one of my best years as a service manager, and I had 5 technicians, and I was like, I think it was just a hair above you. I think it was like 900,000, and I was like, bullshit. Like, this guy's full of crap.
Like this training guy just blowing smoke up everybody's ass.
3 guys, stop it. So anyway, I called you out on it, and I feel really bad because I kept calling it out on it. And
the thing is, I do remember you bringing it up, like raising your hand, like, wait a second, how's that even possible? And if I was lying, then it would have been really hard to defend that. But it was honestly like, we just did that.
Yeah.
This is how we did it. Like, I just presented for 8 hours how to do it.
Yeah.
But it really worked.
And I think that was what kept me believing you, is because you just didn't waver from what you said, and you just kept going with the training like it was part of the deal. And I was just like, holy crap, I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Because it's insane.
Yeah. And then you actually went back and tried it.
Yeah. So then I literally took pictures. At this time, you had handwritten all these massive sticky notes along all the walls. And I took pictures on my phone on every single one and went back and started implementing a lot of the things you did. And it made it massive. I mean, we went from 940,000, I think, that one year to like 1.4 million the next year.
Dang.
The same amount of staff.
What year was that?
Yeah. It was approximately 2016, 2017, somewhere 2015, 2016. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range.
So you had a store before that, right?
I did, yeah.
Tell me about that. What was that store?
Yeah, so I feel like everybody needs to have some failures in their life. So
I've had multiple.
in order to get better, you have to fail at something. So it's not that I'd like fully failed at it. I just didn't fully understand how to run a business. So I started Nicoll Racing, it's my last name, out of my garage in 1999, and started doing it while I was a technician in another dealership. And then in 2002, it was so busy that I left my job and went full time. I actually rented a 5-bedroom house and, turned the kitchen into an area where we built motors and stored bikes in the living room and did a bunch of service work out of the garage.
So is motocross like primarily racing?
Primarily motocross, desert racing, motocross. Freestyle was really big then, so I did a lot of freestyle stuff.
Nice.
And yeah, and it just took off and went crazy. I actually had the city called on me a couple times, and finally they said, you have to get a building. You can't do this out of your house.
Yeah.
So I got a building, and it grew and was pretty awesome. And I struggled because what you don't learn in business is your friends become all of your clients.
Yep.
You start giving everybody discounts. You start just thinking that, you're gonna make it. It's gonna get busier, and you're gonna be able to pull through. But the thing is that you get locked in. I think we've talked about this before. You get locked in on what you're doing, and you lose sight of what's important with the company and what keeps it healthy.
Yeah, I forget who told me,
Yeah,
but
that's funny. My dad, so he had a Honda dealer from 1980 to 90, and Honda, I think, they did some kind of co-op thing with Ed Lemko, and Lemko came in and was, doing an in-store visit, whatever, training, and he saw my dad selling something to one of his buddies at like 10 over cost or something. And Lemko like lost his mind.
Yeah.
And he told my dad, if you can't make money on your friends, how do you expect anybody else to pay you full price or whatever? And so
There's a better way to say that. That sounds, if you give me money in your bread, sounds shitty. The way I heard it was, if your friends won't support you, who will?
Yeah.
Which sounds a lot better than you can't exploit your friends.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I mean, that's it. And if they don't see enough value in what you're doing to say like, hey man, like good job, keep doing it. And so I get it. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that from experience, being like, oh no, I do it right.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I still have all those
But
situations.
also
where-
probably like in your situation as well, like the friends aren't asking for discounts.
That's
No.
true.
You know,
They're
you
not.
just give it to them. Like they'd be happy to pay full price and support you.
100%.
It's just I've been there too,
Yeah.
where it's just like, it's one of my best friends. I'm just gonna hook them up, but then over
You're like,
time it
Yeah.
turns out that cost me a bunch.
Yeah.
I just bought you those things. It
Yeah.
turns out, yeah,
Yeah.
you just subsidized your habit and
Yeah.
actually pay for it. Yeah, no, that's a very good point. So how long did it go, and at what point was it like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore? When was enough?
Yeah. So let's see. I was 29 when I had my first son, and I think it was right around then when I had made a deal with my wife that I would let this go for 15 years.
Mhm.
And at the end of 15 years, if I couldn't pay my taxes right, pay myself a livable wage, and I was in Southern California, in San Clemente, California. So it
This was 15 more years?
no.
Okay.
15 total years.
Okay. How many years
15
was it at
total
this point
years.
that you were in?
So that's a good question. I was probably 7 years in or so, halfway in.
Okay. You were like, okay, we're only halfway.
Yeah.
Got this new kid.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
halfway through.
So somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
And then, so the last year I went all out. Like I sponsored the Baja 1000. We did the suspension and motor mods for the Honda team, for
Damn.
the 1X team for Colton Udall. And we got on the cover of Dirt Bike magazine that year. We had just a ton of racing going on. We did like the 24 hours of Glen Helen. I think we got second. We did so much advertising, it was crazy. And I really didn't see the needle move.
Yeah.
And
Put in all that extra effort and it still wasn't.
looking back at it, the needle was probably moving just fine. I wasn't charging right. We were super busy.
Yeah.
We had customers that were unbelievably loyal to us. We had great ratings. Everybody seemed to really like what was going on. I just wasn't charging right for the customers that we had.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yep.
Was it like your labor rate should have been higher, or was it like you weren't charging enough hours? Was there, or even did you look at it that way?
It's embarrassing to say. It's all of it. Like,
Really?
that's what sucks is like when, we've talked in the past about how where you get stuck in this mindset where you're just like, just got to get the work done, right?
Yeah.
And you don't think about each and every individual job the way it needs to be thought about. So instead of keeping track of employees' times, I didn't care.
Mhm.
If they're there 8 hours a day, I paid them for 8 hours, even if they only generated 1 hour worth of
Yeah.
labor for me that day.
Yep.
I did some really dumb things, and
Well, it's tough to like once you start that way, it's so much harder to get out of that hole.
yeah,
Because I was the same way. Whenever I had my shop, I had a couple of technicians that it was the same way because I felt bad. I was like, we're a newer shop. We don't have all of the work to support them, so I'm just gonna pay them, hourly, whatever. And it's tough to turn that ship around
Yeah.
once they get
is.
used to this way of doing
It's
things.
huge safety
it's
net.
really
Yeah.
tough when me, the owner, managing the whole thing, doesn't even realize that's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. And you have no safety net. I mean, the amount of payrolls I'm sure you didn't receive are crazy. And
Oh
there are
man,
safety nets for the
staying up
people
at
who-
night worried about payroll.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a
dude,
struggle.
I know. All of us did that, and it is funny that all of us at some point when we had kids were like, "This has to change. This is
Yeah, I
totally
was,
unsustainable now."
yeah, it's hilarious. He said I was the exact same age and I was 29, had my first child, and it was time to really grow up. I couldn't spend all night, every night at the shop.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, like either massive changes need to happen, or, I need to grow this thing even more, or
Yeah. That
go
was
a
the
different
funniest
route.
part. Danny called me and he goes, "Hey, like I had just sold the shop and a couple years before." And Danny calls me and he goes, "Hey man, I'm like, we're about to have a kid." I'm like, "Congratulations, man. That's so awesome." He's like, I need some advice though. I don't know what to do. Like I either need to grow the store, do a second location, but bring on an OEM. Like I got to get bigger, or I have to stop and like get rid of it and change. And
You remember what you said?
what was it?
I don't know. I don't know if you had a few drinks or whatever, but it was an immediate get rid of it, shut it down.
My memory of it was that I said something very profound, like, "Look, another business is another child. Do you want to take care of your actual child
Yes,
or this new child with employees?"
You said that after the abrupt, which to give some backstory, we had been talking about doing this prior to it.
Yeah.
And so we were very gung ho on taking what we've learned, and because we just saw so many changes that need to happen industry wide. It was like work on my own little thing in Gulfport, Mississippi that my customers loved, or try to spread it to the whole industry.
Yeah.
So
And by this thing, we don't mean a podcast.
no,
By this thing, we mean
this is what it's all for.
It's like this idea, and actually, we brought you to the magical location last night, which was Danny and I used to every night after work when we would just be bitching about like, man, it's so hard to like run a service department or run a dealership or these things. And we would sit at the same bar that we went to last night, sit in the corner of that bar and talk about, okay, if we could start from scratch, what would it look like? If you didn't have to worry about Lightspeed or Lizzie or the DM, you didn't have to worry about creating the processes based on how the software operates. Because the software does these certain things, so we have to run the processes this way. Then we have to give the customer this experience because of it.
You have to create all of these workarounds to make your ideal process work, and it becomes so overloaded for the frontline staff, it just feels like it's impossible.
Yeah.
And that's what we would just drink and bitch about all night.
Over and over.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
And then eventually it turned into, okay, well, look, we've been bitching about this for years.
And we still do.
And we still do. every night. We go back to the same bar. But like we did that for years. And then like the more I got into training, like when I met you, that was early in my Garage Composites days.
Yeah.
So like early of when I showed up to that meeting, it wasn't like, hey guys, this is the ultimate way to do it. Like now I feel like how it's set up is pretty damn dialed in.
Yeah.
I've said it enough times. I work with hundreds of stores to set it up. Like when they put it in, it makes money. Like it works. But all of those hundreds of stores I work with still have the exact same problems that we've been talking about forever. It's the same things. It's still too complicated to do the job.
Yep.
And so what I found interesting when we were talking about this last night at the same bar, the same exact spot, it's not just about like the job has gotten more complicated, because I do feel like the job has gotten way more complicated. Now we're using more softwares. Every OEM has tried to create their own tools to try and solve the problem, but they all are disjointed, and most dealerships are multiple brands. So these things don't communicate effectively. Then we've got Connect, so we're texting and doing phone calls and doing emails. It's 4 different ways for customers to engage. You got that just for communicating to customers. You got every OEM page. You got all the tools that are meant to help your departments interact more effectively or your staff interact more effectively. But then you work with actual stores, and their processes are still like, well, we do all that, and then we have paper repair orders, and we have this, and we have this key process, and we have this tagging thing we do here. And everybody's got to have those processes, but they've become even more complicated. And I don't know if it's competency or if it's just the like commitment and willingness of the staff went like, do you get a service advisor who can do all that stuff? Like when you said yesterday, those people are managers now. The people who could do it and wanted to do it, they either left. Like our favorite service manager, again, Rob Evans, who worked here forever. He's a fucking engineer, smartest guy that I know.
Yeah,
and we were just lucky to have him. Like, where do you find that now?
Yeah, no, it's really tough. It's crazy. I don't have the answer for that.
So
you have to do it different now. The process has to be different.
Exactly. The process has to be different. And so that's where yesterday you brought something up that was like a aha moment for me. And I know that we talked about this before. We've got this idea, and we've been preaching this idea to each other. I've been preaching it to dealers. You've been listening. You've been sharing it as well in stores of like how a store is supposed to operate right now. Like there is a model to do it, but you've been doing some stuff that's like kind of breaking the mold of that model. And yesterday we had some conversations of like, okay, maybe what we need to do is not just solve the problem of making, training up the advisors more effectively, which is still very important.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not teaching them how to use 5 different programs to do all the stuff. Maybe what we do is we lean more on like the really talented technicians that we do have. Granted, we need to have talented technicians. Like, how do we get them more involved in being able to help build and sell those invoices? And so
I think before we get to that, which that's great, we left off on Billy's story.
Oh,
So
shit,
you
jumped too far ahead.
That's okay.
So you had Nicoll Racing, and then I mean, you were running a massive department at Fay Myers.
Oh yes. Oh my God.
I mean,
pick that up.
and like you were showing me the spreadsheets that you used to manage it, and like the tools that they were using. I mean, how many technicians did y'all have?
So mainline technicians, there's 9, and then there's a total of 14 at one point that I was there. So there's 3 PDI guys, and then the rest is technician assistants.
And how many service advisors?
5 service advisors.
Wow.
Yep.
Man, that's incredible. And I mean, y'all had good numbers. It was running well.
Yeah, no, that store is amazing. Still is amazing. It's a great store.
What was your proficiency number was like?
Yeah.
The highest I had it in one year was 120%.
God,
That is so insane.
Yeah,
That is so insane.
yeah.
that's incredible. So anyway, I wanted to say that to say you ramped it up after Nicoll Racing.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah.
How'd you land? I mean, how did you end up at Fay?
Okay,
was
that's
the-
a good question. So, you guys know Brent Flamberis?
Yeah.
Okay, he's the owner of GForce.
Right? Yeah.
Me and him worked together in California at a place called Mission Motorsports.
Okay.
It was Mission Yamaha at the time, and he was the service advisor, and I was one of the technicians. And he had left to move to go to Colorado, and I had left to start my own company. And we had kept in touch. And as it got closer to me having to make a decision on what I was going to do, I noticed he had put an ad out there for a service manager.
Nice.
And we'd kept in touch because he'd mostly been the service manager. He'd been an owner operator the whole time. And yeah, I flew out, and it was pretty cool. He set me up for like a week's worth of fun in the snow. We went snowmobiling and did all
Really?
kinds of cool stuff.
He courted you for that one.
Totally. And then he made me an offer, and closed my shop down, and he flew out, and we loaded everything in my motorhome and my trailer, and I lived in his parking lot for 3 months.
Damn.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
Till I got a house and could move my family out.
So how long were you there at Fay?
So this is going to GForce. So I was at GForce for
Oh,
5
gotcha.
years. Yeah, no. So GForce 5 years, and then in 2019, I went to Fay.
2019. Okay.
2019. Yeah.
So what was the state of the service department whenever you got there? Like, was it humming pretty well? And then, or did you have to, I guess what I'm getting at is like, we talked yesterday about like what it means to be a service manager,
Yeah.
but like what it means to be a service manager is like doing very little and just like overseeing things. But like the hole that you have, most service managers have to dig out of to get to that point, it's
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
Did you have to like create a bunch of process and figure out how things should work in that big operation?
So in my meeting, in my interview, with Jason White, I had he had expressed interest in doing things that I was already starting to try to do. I had made a private YouTube page for GForce where we were doing tech videos.
Nice.
And I was just experimenting with a bunch of different things. And he was very like, yes, we're like, this is, we even have access to car stores that are doing this, and I want you to do all that stuff. That sounds
Hell yeah.
awesome. So he was very open to change and very open to doing different things. So going into that store, it wasn't that the store was run bad at all. The store was running just fine. It just didn't do any extra. was just a regular, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a regular service department moving through in a great area that did very well. It had about 3 or 4 years of plateaued in the service department. They really hadn't changed numbers wise.
Okay.
So I had, by the time I left, I had, let's see, I think it was 1.6 when I got there, and the highest I did was 2.8 million.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
It's incredible.
yeah.
So staffing wise, I mean, technician wise, was it like when they were small, what was that looking like when you took
Small.
over? Yeah, I know. I mean, like,
It
compare
wasn't
that to
small. They were
these. It
still,
was never small.
yeah, it was still pretty big. You know, they still had a lot of technicians. It's not like they have a lot of turnover there. They have a lot of technicians that have been there for a long time, which is really cool.
Mm.
One of their technicians has been there 30 years.
Wow. So it's mostly just improvements in proficiency across the shop.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's incredible.
There's like 5 technicians that have been there 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And then there is, you know, the bottom half that's, you know, always going to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you're stepping into this place the first time. Let's just say that you're back in that spot, stepping into Fay Myers. You've got a store that's got a bunch of technicians. You've got the work, but that shop is not running proficiently. What would you say were like the big moves you had to make to ramp that thing up?
I mean, the first thing I walked into was paper ROs, which I know everybody still uses, and
Yeah.
I'm going to get a lot of pushback on. That's the best way still.
Not from us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try anything new. If you want.
So the first thing I did was you know, where everybody's got a computer at their desk, why aren't we using it?
Yeah.
So, you know, put their schedule on their computers, and that was the very
Really,
first
that was
thing.
one of the first things you did, was just digitize the
Absolutely.
repairs, and that picked up a lot of proficiency.
If you go from paper ROs to an efficient schedule, you immediately get, I would say, a 20% increase.
What?
That's what
Holy
I'd say.
Well, hey, I do need to say you had 2 different buildings. So did it have a lot to do with the fact there was that hike between
Yeah,
service
it's
advisors?
like
all that
300
stuff?
yards away to the service department where check-in is, you know, far away.
So they were walking ROs back and forth back then. I mean, I can definitely see some pickup for sure, but in that location especially, that's a huge jump.
It doesn't matter. The location doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, I
Yeah.
think just the fact of, especially the schedule, like I'd say all the time, the schedule needs to be monitored all day. It needs to be dynamic, you know, and whenever you're not looking at the same source of truth, whenever you're not looking at the same screen, and it's not being actively adjusted throughout the day, whenever things are always going to go wrong with a job,
Yep.
you have to be prepared to feed that technician the
100%.
next thing
You have to have a backup.
instantly.
Yep.
And that can't be done just by pushing paper.
No.
Like it can't.
no,
It's
too
not
much confusion.
possible.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I'm happy you said that. That is like the first thing in so many shops is
Yeah.
let's get this schedule and the process behind scheduling dialed.
Yeah.
There's a great example. I started at another dealership and they had paper ROs, and they're a well-run dealership overall. But as a service manager coming in, literally, if I answered the phone and a customer said, you know, just checking the status of my vehicle, and I hop into a repair order and I can't see anything because that piece of paper hasn't made its way through the parts department, the technicians, and then back to the service advisor to type his notes in, there's a massive problem.
Big time.
It's a
Yeah.
massive problem.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a really
a
good point.
recipe for a very poor ownership experience for the
Yep.
customer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All
it's
I
not-
hear is the advisor saying, well, so and so's your advisor. He's going to have to get back to you. And you're just hanging up on the customer and without any clue of what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's
That was
crazy.
nails on the chalkboard whenever I had my shop, hearing somebody say, "Oh, I'm gonna have to check on it. I'll give you a call back."
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the rate of those calls happening?
Yeah.
Going
Yeah.
back out.
Yeah.
You know.
No.
Yeah. Great point.
So, okay, that's number one. Let's make up that you're gonna have 3 of them now. Number one is digitizing repair orders and digitizing the schedule.
Yeah.
What next? When you're stepping into a store and trying to turn it around, what's the other thing you start looking at?
I start immediately looking at what we're charging for what we're doing. And I start immediately looking at scalability, meaning I start to look at what our standard jobs are, what we're charging for our standard jobs versus maybe what the OEM suggest or what S&P suggests. I kind of go over everything and
Are you
kind of,
doing that by like having the technicians clock in and out on individual jobs and like measuring, hey, this took you an hour and a half versus,
I just go back and look at all old cashiered ROs to find this information.
and you're finding what, like just actually wrench time versus what we collected?
Yeah. Now,
Okay.
if the shop, this last shop that I was a part of, definitely clocked in and out on every job so you could see,
Yeah.
and they were pretty much trying to be even or favor the customer more than the technician.
Yeah.
So if it took the technician an hour, but they had only quoted 0.8, they left it that way. And then
Hmm.
that was across the board. So you could see immediate, instant room for growth.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just simply teaching an advisor that,
Yeah.
hey, you're cheating not only you, but your technician.
Yeah.
And it's hard. You know, we had talked about this a little last night where how much control do you give to your technician as far as you don't want to charge customers. And in my experience, like you had a little bit slightly different experience than some technicians. The technicians favor the customer more than their own paychecks. So it's one of those things you just have to understand. So what the way I look at it, the absolute way I look at it, this is really easy in my mind, is I pick the A-level technician, the best technician in the store, and I follow his numbers. And to me, an A-level technician has gone to school, he's paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for tools, he's well bought in. I mean,
Yeah.
what other job do you have to do besides being a doctor and paying a couple $100,000 in debt for
Yeah.
schooling do you have to do to be a technician?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's true.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's no advisor stepping up and putting in that kind of money
No.
to be an advisor. So you've got these technicians, right? They're
Let's be
well
honest.
bought
They
in.
just like going on that truck.
Snap-on shows up or Mac.
It's fun.
Go, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. So in my eyes, that gentleman needs to be well compensated for what his commitment to his job. And so in my eyes, I see it as where that technician needs to be flagging at least 14 hours a day.
Damn.
If he's not doing 14 hours a day.
How are you
you're
getting a
set.
tech to bill 14 hours a day?
So a couple different ways. Obviously, you're watching what he's doing diagnostic wise. You want to make sure and compensate him for his diagnostic work. The thing is that when he's doing regular work, regular repairs, if you're not charging, this is what I find in a lot of shops. If you're not charging where a technician's making double on a job, that an A-level technician's making double, then you can only imagine what your C-level tech's doing. He's he's at 50% efficiency.
He's losing to that.
Yeah.
So it should be like B's should be hitting flat rates. C's are going to be below. At A's, we're knocking out of the park.
Knocking out of the park.
And does that just come from them being really fast or the support you provide to those A's as well?
Okay, so both. Because I've run into both scenarios where you run into an A-level technician who's just motors through work. He knows how to motor through work, right? And then you run into that A-level technician, super good, but he's not as fast as he used to be, right? And he's just
B-level speed, but A-level skills.
A-level skills. So for that B-level technician, or I shouldn't say B-level technician, B-level speed, A-level skills, I like to pair him up with 1, 2, even 3 tech assistants.
That is so crazy. Okay, so I can't wait to share this podcast with some of the service managers that I work with, that I'm trying my hardest to convince them that, like, okay, 1 expediter to 3 technicians is like it's a sweet spot, right? So that means, like, in the store I'm working with, you're going to need to hire 2 people to help your 6 technicians. And I'm like, man, that's a lot of people. You're talking 3 people to 1 technician, right?
Yeah.
3 helpers.
Yeah.
So,
and when I first started thinking of this idea, it sounded ridiculous.
Yeah,
It sounds ridiculous right now, just saying it out loud. Like I'm on camera here, like people might hear this. Yeah, this is crazy. Here's the deal. We are running out of technicians.
Yeah.
It is there's no secret here. I actually talk to MMI all the time, and I just got off the phone with MMI about, I don't know, a month ago. And they let me know they had one of the biggest enrollments months that they've had in years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited to hear that. That's great.
news.
Get in your mind, think of how many students go to MMI or are in MMI currently. What would you think that would be? Have you been to UTI and see their campus?
I have been.
Okay.
I have been once. No. I went to PSI.
Okay.
Not as impressive.
Okay.
How many people go through it?
How many people are in it currently, like enrolled right now in it? What would you think for just the motorcycle part of it?
I don't know.
Couple hundred.
I was going to say a couple thousand, but I don't know where.
Well, it used to be a couple thousand,
Yeah.
and it got down to like there was 200 kids enrolled.
We were both right.
Nationally? Nationally?
At their, well, they have two
They have
locations.
locations.
At their Arizona location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arizona and Florida.
And now it's like up to like 300. It's making it, it's going back up, which is
Okay.
awesome, which is really, really good. And the manufacturers need to get on board here. They need to,
Yeah.
like, Polaris is not there and Can-Am are not there, and they need to wake up.
Crazy.
They
That's
need to
crazy.
get on board.
The only way to become like Polaris certified or
Is through the dealer.
is to go through the dealer.
Yep.
Which, I mean,
So,
that's.
I mean, BMW's there, Harley's there, Yamaha, Honda, Kawasaki, they're all there. KTM needs to wake up. They need to get their act together.
Yeah.
Because really, we need to start promoting technicians again.
Yeah.
I mean, there used to be cool Supercross commercials, you know, where you
Yeah,
would
yeah,
be
I
a
remember
Supercross
that.
technician.
Yeah.
That's what got me to go to MMI.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, there's a big cultural shift, I feel like, happening towards the
think it's-
trades. And I think that
Yeah.
you're right. Like our industry is kind of not getting any of that limelight,
Totally.
you know?
Yeah.
Mike Rowe and all of those big names are really pushing trade schools. Like
Yeah.
we need to get some of that love for our people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my point in bringing all that up is I've had to take it in my own hands.
Yeah.
Like I'll hire kids right at MMI. I'll hire kids that are just capable of turning wrenches and pair them up with A-level technicians. And in 6 months to 2 years, they're in their own spots,
Wow.
wrenching on their own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
So you're
that's
keeping
the way to
them-
do it.
So you've got an ATEC getting 3 people supporting him. How do you pay that? Who's getting the hours on that type of job?
All right, this is going to give me all kinds of slack too.
I love it.
Getting you in trouble.
We say all kinds of crazy stuff.
yeah, exactly. So we ruin reputations here.
Whatever his flat rate is what I pay him.
Yeah.
He makes what they make as a combined team.
Yep.
So,
So he's getting their hours.
he's basically getting their hours.
Mhm.
They're getting paid an hourly rate. And I talked to whoever's taking that position and hiring that position and say, listen, I'm paying you to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're getting a massive education at a speed that you'll never get ever again.
Yeah.
This is a once in a lifetime opportunity if this is truly what you want to do.
Yeah.
And you're going to get there quick. It took me forever.
Yeah.
As a technician, I sucked. You know what I
Yep.
mean? I thought it was, when I graduated MMI, I thought it was the shit. I got hired at Long Beach Motorsports, drove to Long Beach Motorsports making $8 an hour. It was over an hour and a half to get there every single day, and absolutely got schooled by some old school technicians
Yeah.
over there. Like sucked.
Yeah.
Couldn't flag to save my life.
Yeah.
Couple years of doing that, and you get faster, you get better.
Yeah.
And
But
You're
yeah, a
about
couple
3-4
years
years.
versus 6 months.
you're 3-4 years into it, you start to get to where you're actually considered a C-level technician. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
B level maybe at 5 years. After that, it's really on the individual person to make it to an A-level technician spot.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of commitment
It is a ton of commitment.
to get to that. A ton of learning, a ton of making mistakes.
Yeah.
And now I can take these guys, working with an A-level technician, have them doing the computer work, doing all the other things that we have them doing, learning everything and doing the work. And where the A-level technician really is more hands off. He's kind of just walking around. You're working on this. You're working on this. You're doing that. And
You know, you said this yesterday. The whole nurse to surgeon analogy that you use all the time.
the
that is-
dentist and
that is
dental
not
hygienist.
just like
type thing.
dentist, dental hygienist. But like we've always used that as okay. That's why you need an expediter. I mean, you're looking at like nurse practitioners, right? Nurse practitioners
Yeah.
operate under the license of the doctor. Basically, can do all the things that the doctor does. The doctor is just basically the guy who's kind of legally bound to like make sure that that person is doing it correctly. And if that NP gets sued or that something happens wrong, it's back on the doctor. And so it's almost like that model where you've
Yeah.
taken it to this next level. Like, okay, these technicians are doing the actual wrenching.
Yep.
And it's the master tech who's on the hook for it. He's
Yep.
getting paid to be on the hook for it.
Yep.
Though. Huh. So how do you
like
find,
you said, like in dentist, right? The dentist doesn't clean your teeth.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
in there for 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Making sure they didn't pull your teeth out.
Yeah, I love it. It's like, how we've always talked about an expediter, but just taking it to another level. So you have expediters
On top of that.
and assistants.
Yep.
So like in the process, Expediters are getting units staged, ready to go, making sure parts are ready to go.
Yeah.
And
Now, mind you, this has to be a store that's busy, right? It doesn't
Right.
work if a store's not busy.
Yeah.
right.
If your store is busy and every technician can have 3+ jobs in their queue ready to go, then you need to have an expediter that can find the vehicle, find the parts, do the pre-testing. The best expediters ever, you get them to do a coolant flush or coolant test, brake fluid test, and a
Mhm.
battery and charging system
Yep.
test. Those are the best ones if you can get it. Now that's hard to do. That's not an easy thing. I haven't accomplished that very many times. I
Yeah.
have accomplished it, but it's tough to continually get
Are
that
those
to go.
expediters doing test rides?
So test rides are tough too because it just depends on the type of shop you're in. At your shop, test rides I think are mandatory.
Yeah.
You got motorcycles, everybody's got motorcycles. But
Mhm.
when you've
Mhm.
got UTVs and dirt bikes and watercraft, and
Yeah.
it becomes this totally different. And especially if you got snowmobiles, it's like forget it.
You can't do it.
Things
Yeah.
are just different.
Hmm.
So you're not necessarily doing test rides. But yes, anytime that a vehicle needs to be, like, let's just say it's a UTV and they need to just drive it around the parking lot for an hour because
Yeah.
the customer says it only happens in an hour.
The expediters doing
100%
that.
an
Yeah.
expediter's doing that.
How are you doing
Yeah.
quality control?
Yeah,
on,
that's,
on the other stuff.
Talking about getting flack for things. I feel like we've gotten flack for that with people who their technicians have always test ridden
Yeah.
their work or whatever. And
Yeah.
I've always been strongly opposed to that because there's just a bias in place
Yeah.
automatically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the quality control suffers whenever I've done it that way. Whereas getting a second or third set of eyes, touching it, feeling it, testing it, they're going to find things that the technician might just say, I think I'm going to let that slide,
Yeah.
you know?
So I like the expediter to do the test rides for that reason if they can. What I actually ended up doing, and it just depends on the level of where your shop's at. Because if you have the right size store or a big enough store, we actually have lot techs
Yeah.
that are cleaning the vehicles for when the customers get there. That's my like last line of defense, right? So
So your lots are
everybody's done
doing the
their
final
thing.
wipe down.
Lot techs are washing it,
Mhm.
driving around the parking lot, make sure it looks good, then parking it ready for the customer.
Nice.
That's if you can get all of that working, you've nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a huge team.
Yeah. So you got lot, expediter, tech assistant. Then you've got C's, B's, and A's.
Yeah.
And
you
your
have
A's are
PDI
foremen?
techs.
Oh, and PDI techs. Yeah. That's
I had
crazy.
33 employees at one time.
It's including the advisors.
Yeah,
How many advisors in that?
5.
5 advisors.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah, we had lot techs just for the advisors.
When I feel like the first time that I went and visited Fay, you guys had 3 advisors.
Yeah, true. We didn't always have 5.
Yeah.
We-
But that's when
That's what our goal is to
Yeah.
have phase is to have 5.
that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really. And what do you notice difference when you have 5 techs or 5 advisors as opposed to having the 2 or 3?
Well, that's such a volume store. I mean, they're doing so much work. We were checking it out the other day where we peeked into one advisor and he has 100 repair orders going.
That seems like too many to me. And
I think it's a little too many. I
Yeah.
think the sweet spot's at about 80. 80 open repair orders with the system that they're using is.
I mean, yeah, I hear
fully
you. I
capable.
do hear you. There is a difference in volume for sure.
Yeah.
You know, you guys are moving 2,000, 3,000 units a year or something like that. What's your?
Yeah, I think they're probably, upwards of the high 2,000 units.
Yeah.
Maybe close to 3,000 units a
Yeah.
year.
This market is a
I'm not
much,
a sales
much smaller.
guy, so I don't
Yeah.
know their exact
I don't know.
numbers.
There's a bunch of motorcycles up front at Fay.
They move units.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a European store in a city that sounds big, New Orleans, but it's not actually that big.
Yeah.
So this is a 250 to 300 unit store. Like
Yeah,
when it's doing well, it's 300.
Yeah.
When it's not, it's 250.
Yeah.
And so our approach to how we have to make money out of the store, because honestly, the front end margins on the units are pretty damn close
Yeah.
to what you guys are selling. So the way you make money in a European store is you get people super bought into not just the brand that they bought, but like the brand of your operation.
Yeah.
And you get them excited to come to service, and you get them excited to spend a lot of money when they're here buying the accessories and buying the other stuff. So we like to operate around 25 to 30 open repair orders per advisor.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, you have so many more touch points with the customer. And that's when you can really do the YMCA sales,
Yep.
and you can add on the accessories and the convenient items, and you're bringing basically your objective is to bring your service tickets from the $200, $300 average up to $2,000, $3,000 average. And you could do that on every ticket if you're consistently doing the right walk around, the right YMCA or upsale. So it's just, your volume was just so much different.
You can do that at scale too. You just have to have more people.
So that's where the 5 advisors have to come in?
Yeah, it's just
Well, and there's 2 parts guys that are just dedicated to service.
Wow. 2 parts to service people.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're helping some other stores right now.
Yeah.
Right. What are the sizes at those locations?
So they're medium to smaller in sizes. They're probably, I don't know, probably one's probably at 800 to 900 units a year, and the other's probably somewhere in the 500 units a year.
So that's like a 4 technician store,
Like a
3
3 technician store and a 5 technician store.
Yeah. National average of most stores is about 4.5 techs.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
That's the average dealership around the country.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, what's going on with those? You've now stepped into these stores and said like, okay, we got to fix stuff. You started with digitizing process.
Yep.
Then you work on following around technicians, making sure they're billing as many hours as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally, I took that same approach I just said. I
Yeah.
literally looked at the old closed repair orders for their A-level tech.
Yeah, you showed me that sheet.
Yeah, I made that.
Really cool.
Made that spreadsheet for it, and I just started going backwards, and then I started hopping in and making standard jobs, changing standard jobs.
Yep.
Adding what needs to start to happen, then start talking to the advisors about, how we need to check in people. We need pictures. We need to be very super professional when we check things in.
Mhm.
It's not only just to save your butt. I could care less about that part of it, actually. It is because you are charging people a professional amount of money, and you need to be professional when you do it.
Yeah.
And if you're not out there, if you're just like, hey, throw me your keys and we'll call you later,
Yeah.
that's not you're not giving any show.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. I think we talked about it last night on the way back from the bar, but it was getting our industry to the point that they're meeting the expectations of the customer that the customer has in every other aspect of their life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Totally.
Totally.
Going to an Apple store or ordering DoorDash or whatever. Like there's this level of whatever you want to call it, experience that they're used to. Like we need to do our best to at least get as close as we can to that in our industry.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, I think, what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%.
Because it's not cheap. It's not cheap for customers to play in this industry, and we need to give them the value.
Well, and your customer's used to that type of experience wherever he goes. He takes his Range Rover in, and
Yeah, exactly.
he's getting that experience.
So that brings us to something that we're working really hard in this store in Moto Julia as our lab to try out. Okay, well, how do you build value in a way that connects with people now, in the way that they see their value when they go check into a hotel, when they go on, go get, I was going to say their boat worked on, but I know the experience there is the same. Or when they're bringing their car in, or they're doing
Restaurant.
So restaurants, great example, right? We've got some ideas we've been kicking around and trying. You have some things you've been putting in place and pretty consistently been putting in place. Tell us about those.
Well, so I think you're trying to hit on the videos.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
The videos is massive. The check-in process, if you're taking photos in front of the customer while you talk to the customer, and you're getting all the information on the vehicle, and you're strategically talking to the customer about YMCA or whatever analogy you want to bring up, but it's just being real with your customer, talking with your customer, and building that relationship with your customer is huge. And then your technician does a video of whatever it is, the service, which is just, hey, this is things we touched and this is where we're at, or the diagnostic of a motor that's fully apart on a bench. So we checked out one of those the other day.
It's a good
Great video.
Just pointing out everything. Here's what happened. There's the hole in your crankcase. Took it all apart to figure out why.
Yeah. That hole went outside, didn't it? Like, it should have been pretty easy to point that.
But immediately you've built massive value because you're just being so transparent at a level that, motorcycle dealerships are just not at.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
mean,
they're
how often
totally
do we
scared.
hear of, can I just go ask the technician one question? Can I just go back there? It's like, no, you can't. But I mean, this gets like almost there
Yeah.
for the customer. It's like
Yeah.
the perfect line between
Yeah.
wasting a technician's time having to go back and forth and circumventing the advisor and offering that transparency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I think one thing that stood out to me on all the videos you showed me from Fay was that the technician went in great detail, showing the motorcycle, pointing out the things that he liked and needed. Like, "Hey, you should get this done. I'll like mark these bolts, whatever." The very end of it, he always said, "If you have any questions, reach out to your service advisor." And so it set up this expectation right out of the gate, like, "Hey, I'm taking a moment to share with you the important information, but I'm not the guy to talk to directly,
Yeah,
the person to talk
service
to." It's
advisor, he's got you. I
and
trust him. He's
that
got you.
script was like, is that something you had to teach your guys to do? I mean, it happened every time.
So that's a little bit of amazingness, really. And that's what happens. So yes, you teach them that script, or you teach them a script at the beginning, and you want to go through and make some very key points. Thank you for coming. Thank you for shopping for Fay Myers or
Yeah.
whatever dealership you're working with. And you want to make those very key points, but then you just let the technician do his thing. And as you saw, we watched a couple different technicians. They all have a little bit different script, but all end at the same point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they all hit the same points, but show their own personality.
exactly. So you kind of let them be. You really let them go. And I was really worried about that. I think a lot of people are worried about letting technicians talk to customers.
Yeah.
But by far the best thing you could do is let a technician just be real and talk to the customer real, even if it's harsh.
Yeah.
Not crazy, I don't want to be nuts, but
Yeah.
at the same time, if they're just telling the customer, hey, you've messed this up, you really need to pay attention to this or you're going to lose your motor.
Yeah.
They're saying harsh things like that to the customer, just the way that it is.
Yeah. Because that's the doctor. Like,
Customer
you're gonna
appreciates it.
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
appreciates
The
it.
bedside manner is important, but what the doctor's saying is more important.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
so I think you're right. The advisor is the one who has to mind their P's and Q's and just make a friend and be the translator. But they can always say, "Hey, it's kind of an asshole, but he's the best technician out there, so
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
the guy." You
Yeah.
know, like I think that's expected.
Yeah.
So we were talking about that process yesterday of like, okay, so you're gonna have at some point every single service job, which is so impressive to me. Every single service job got a video recording sent to the customer. So before we get into how you like build that in the process, how did you get your team to commit to that?
That was not easy. It's funny that you bring that up because you used to see how hard that's going to be.
Yeah.
You-
Oh shit.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I had to think about it right now. If I'm gonna tell these technicians like, okay, film every single video. Like,
Yeah.
dude, that's not gonna happen.
I think if I can't speak for my technicians, but I think if you were to take it away from them right now and say, no, we're not doing videos anymore, I think they would be like, what?
Really?
I think it would be no way.
Yeah.
And I think the main reason is that when a technician's walking through the bike and he's pointing out, hey, this fork seal's starting to leak, we might as well do both fork seals. And I noticed you have a valve cover gasket that's just seeping. Don't have to do it right now. And whatever else. And your tires toast or your brakes are toast, right? All three of those projects immediately from the customer are, please, whatever the technician says, please get that done.
Yeah.
Not how much does it cost,
Yeah.
not anything else. It is whatever that technician just pointed at. Can I please get all that taken care of?
Yeah. The sale becomes so much easier.
So much easier. So now you've just turned an hour job into a 5-hour job,
Yeah.
and
While it's still in the lift, because
Yeah.
that video, what's really cool is that the technician is shooting that video and you have the confidence to be able to say, all right, you can shoot a video, immediately send it off to the customer. Nobody else is reviewing that
Nobody
before it
else
goes
is
out,
reviewing
right?
it,
It's just
yep.
going straight to the
Yeah,
customer.
Yep.
the confidence thing is big.
Mhm.
I mean, you can have the best service advisor, and there's some that they have the confidence, but the service advisor is at the desk all
Yep.
day.
Mhm.
Like being a customer, like we always say, always imagine being on the other side of the counter, being the customer. Like just that credibility, that the technician is showing you and saying, here's the exact deal. You just don't get that same value whenever it's relayed through a messenger, not doing the work.
Yeah. I don't know the exact percentage rate. All the video companies out there will say you get a 20% increase in service work. I think if you do it right, it's like a 50% increase.
Wow.
It's a massive increase. It's
Wow,
not a little
okay.
increase. It's
Yeah.
a massive.
Wow. Okay. So you said they're not going to want to stop doing it. How did you get them to start doing it?
Okay. A bunch of different ways. It was about 5 years. No, it was about 3 total years until we were at about 80+% on the
Okay.
videos. So we started off, technicians were thinking, oh, it's more important to do it on bigger jobs or diagnostic jobs, and who cares that
Dude,
nobody.
I saw that guy do it on a loose wheel.
Yeah,
Like in everything. Okay, continue. That was
no, and that's what we want them to do. So, then I'd have to, it was constantly be like, why didn't you do a video on this? We need a video on this. I can't believe we didn't. It was just those conversations happened for years, and finally it got to a point where, we did put a little bit of a money behind it. If you some of the video companies have ratings. So if you got a 5-star rating, we'll give you like a $20 spiff. And so that made technicians really start to put some heat on the video, like really just do professional videos.
Yeah.
Because the better stars they got, the more they got a little spiff on it. So that would really helped. That was a big turning point. And then the biggest, easiest turning point was to basically convince your shop foreman that he has to be the one to lead this. If he's not doing it, nobody else is going to do it.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And so we had to convince basically them. And at that store at the time, we had 2 shop foremans.
Yeah.
And so you just have to sit them down, take them to lunch, whatever you need to do to be like, this is what we have to do.
You make them the influencers of the change.
This is the direction it's going.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And sometimes you can even put a spiff on for those guys if you get to 90% completion.
Yeah, I remember you saying like there was a percentage of how many of your repair orders had videos was like was a spiff or it was like part of their job description at this point. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So if the whole team got to 90%, then they would get an extra little on their check,
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Yeah.
That's something we desperately want to do here. That's going to be, I think, really important.
It's like it is part of process, but that's just such an easy like drop in on process. It's not changing any type of bad process. It's like adding like a very simple little thing. It's like whenever we started doing text to pay, on Connect, like this is something that immediately adds value to the customer. It really it's a simple thing to do.
Really did.
So just like text to pay to me, it's like no brainer, obvious. Like there's no debate. This is the same thing with video.
Yeah.
It's just a no brainer.
In your high-end store too, you're working on really nice bikes. People love their bikes, as you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they love to see who was working on them and what they did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The other nice little detail that I always like is, and you heard it in the guys, they're giving even the smallest of specs, 14 pounds on the tire or whatever it is. They're giving those small details.
Yeah.
I always say that if you can give a customer a spec, they love it. They absolutely love it. I torqued this to this foot-pounds, or I did this. If you throw the one little extra little thing in there, it just...
They don't know what it means, but it makes them feel warm and fuzzy.
100%.
Exactly.
It makes them feel like not only do you know what you're doing, but you looked it up to find out what that number was and actually set it to what it needs to be.
Yeah. So in that script, you're saying numbers in there, you're thanking them, you're saying reach out to your service advisor.
Here's what we did.
Here's what we did.
Yeah. Here's what I noticed.
Yep. Here's what you should do.
Yeah.
Right. Here's some suggestions here. Maybe, I'm running with it if I was using YMCA in the same thing and teaching them like, here's what I would do if I were you. Here's some things you might really like. Like, granted, that requires a lot more, which brings me to the next idea of like, okay, right now, you've told me that when this goes out, the customer responds with, do everything that the technician said. Great. Somebody's got to tell them that price. And that then kicks back over to your service advisor to get that work done, who you've got fewer of them than technicians. And if all these videos are going out, that's like, it's not just a repair order being completed and sitting on the advisor's desk and the customer not knowing about it. It's the customer going, tick, tick, like, where's my number? So how do you make that happen quickly?
So I don't have a great answer for that. It just goes back to the advisor, and then the advisor looks it all up and figures out what it's going to be, and then gets back to the customer.
And how quick is that usually happening for you?
So it just depends on the store you're at. So at Fay Myers, it happens fairly quick because they do have 2 parts to service guys.
That helps.
So those 2 guys are looking up your parts pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
And then once those parts are added, adding the labor to it's not too hard, and then calling the customer. So
and it's the advisor adding the labor.
Yep. And it could be anywhere from, oh, I take that back. No, the advisor's not necessarily adding labor.
Who
The
has-
advisor is checking the labor.
Oh,
The technician is adding labor lines for all of the jobs he's suggesting right into Lightspeed.
wow.
Right then
Okay.
and there. Yeah. Which is a newer change that I'm not sure if they're still doing, but that's the way it was
So
the
they add
last
the labor, the
year
parts
or
guy
so I
adds
was
the
there.
parts, the advisor just goes, here's the number that added together.
And that's why we did it at that store. Once the technician creates the labor lines, then the parts guy knows where to put the parts.
Mm-hmm.
Because before it was just a bunch of parts added to one labor line,
yeah, yeah.
and then they all had to be separated out. And if you know Lightspeed, that's just not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, the technician would write his whatever you didn't want him to make it fancy, what the labor line title is.
Yeah.
And then the labor that the technician thought it was going to be, whether he looked it up or didn't, whatever the labor the technician had thought it'd be. Now it's the advisor's job to go in and see if that labor is appropriate for what
Yeah.
that job is.
Very cool.
And then he knows at least where the technician started off, where he's thinking.
Yeah.
Because you always get those jobs where it's like a water pump. You're thinking, maybe that could only be an hour and a half, and then it's 6 hours, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
And the technician's like, well, the motor's got to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if that was just quoted by the advisor,
It would have been
and
wrong.
given to the tech, then we would
Totally
have had a way
wrong.
bigger problem. So you're right. Having the technician quote it starts making a lot of sense, which kind of brings us back to that conversation of like, okay, who are we giving the responsibility to?
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah,
are
I
we
mean,
simplifying the
talking
job
to
of the
you
advisor?
last night, I mean, I wonder if that could be the role of one of the responsibilities for the assistant,
Yeah.
if the technician is telling them, here's what it's going to take. We put the computer work on the assistant.
You 100%
And then-
want your assistant to build up to that point.
and
'Cause they
then-
have to be able to go on
Yeah.
their own spot and work.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're totally right.
And then I would almost say, is it too much to have them do parts as well? Just because I see the discrepancies sometimes of here's the job that needs to be done. Parts guy looks up parts and he inevitably misses whatever bolts or little nitpicky things that are required.
Yeah.
It's
It's what I learned. It's where your store's at. And
Right.
you're going to get to all these growing pains and need different people for different things. And it's wherever your store's at.
the
your
moral of the story is these are just things to think about and
Yeah.
what works best
Mhm.
and your size of operation.
Yep.
Cool.
It made me really start thinking, what we're working on right now. We have a lot of projects we're working on in the store that we're trying to do in different ways than we've ever thought before. We're purposefully trying to break what we have already done to try different things. And one of those things is, okay, let's work on templates. Let's work on templating things in a way that's not only easier for the staff or the advisors to quote, but it was initially, I want sitting down at that desk, being a service advisor again, which I feel like everybody has to do for a week at some point. Like once a decade, you got to go be down there and realize how much that job sucks. And so I was down there a couple weeks ago, realizing how much it sucked, and I was like,
Same.
man, I need to have templates like dialed in. That templates need to be done because they're not there. And then we use Lizzie here, and Lizzie doesn't allow you to create a quote of a repair order. You can only create an actual repair order, which then starts the clock, and you have a repair order that you like then void out or close later. So it's inconvenient how they built the thing. And so we needed to figure out, okay, I need to be able to, when a customer calls us, how much is the annual service on my R1250 GS that already had its 12,000 mile final drive service done? I'm like, Jesus Christ. So that took so much time that I was like, I need to build a system that both I can easily quote it and the customer can quote that stuff on their own.
Yes.
And reverse engineering all of the 5 brands we have here. And, Fay Myers, like 14 brands, or isn't that some crazy number?
Yeah. I
Like-
think it's 16 or something like that.
Yeah, insane. So how do you reverse engineer all of that stuff so that it can be easily presented? So one thing we're working on right now, and who knows if this will be the right answer or not. We're going to have to see. But we're trying right now to take the data from the OEMs and kind of reverse engineer it out and say, okay, let's say Triumph. Triumph calls for 7.5 hours in this service. Okay, let's see what that includes. And then we go through line by line of the things that are requested. We say, okay, well, all the things that are called checks, this is all Danny's idea, genius move. Everything gets just a check.
Stole it from Firestone.
Yeah, what was it? What's your
Complete motorcycle inspection. Anything that is a nut or bolt away
yeah.
gets inspected. So like my example is, if it's an older Harley, with a old school air cleaner on it. It's one nut. That's one nut off. Check the air filter. Put it back. Like that counts.
Yeah. So we went through the whole list and said, like, what's a check? You know, what's like just making sure this thing is okay. It's not taking a tank off, anything big. So we go through that, and all of those get classified into a complete motorcycle inspection or vehicle inspection. That's a half hour. Oil filter change, hour. Connecting the computer, checking for recalls, all updates, that kind of stuff, half hour, right? So now we've got basically an hour and a half.
We got to make sure for
15
him.
minutes. I know you got to run.
No, you're good.
We got a window about hour and a half. Plus you do a chain service, 15 minutes, 1.75 hour for service. Like, cool, that's it. We dialed it in.
Yeah.
And then we figured out the other ones. And so once we started figuring out, okay, a la carte, the spark plugs are this much and this much is this. And so it allowed us to then start saying, okay, well, maybe what we do is we build all of these individual components a la carte. And it sounds crazy when you look at it as a template. But if I can select, my 6,000 mile service, and it selects all of those individual pieces together and says, cool, this is usually the combination of things in a 6,000 mile service. And that customer that says, oh, but I already did my spark plugs last time, or did this, then I can unselect that one instead of my advisor having to like re-engineer that whole thing and start from scratch. So this is we're in the early stages of this.
Yeah.
But my thought is, if we can do that, then can't we then have it where the technician or the technician assistant is the one just going in and adding the template? Oh, you need that service. All those pieces are in there.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we're going.
Yeah.
That's where we're trying to go. And I think that's where the whole industry is going to eventually have to go. It would be nice if the OEMs help us.
Yeah. I agree.
So I know you got to jump in.
You're good. I wanted to show you one thing. So
Yeah.
one of the advisors just texted me while we started talking here, and you can read the last
What does it
note
say?
she wrote at the bottom there.
We keep killing it on repair orders for insurance company, collecting way more plus storage. Thank you so much.
Oh,
That's got to feel great.
Right?
Good job.
Right? That's
my
just
God.
so cool.
What a good feeling
Yeah.
to know what you're doing is working and people are like,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can cut this out. Is that the one that was being snide? Yeah, he got. Did you hear about that email he got?
I did.
Yeah, we should cut that out for sure.
Snide.
It wasn't her, actually.
Yeah. She's great. She does a good job.
The person who wrote this was way low. So whatever, you're fine.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you for being a part of this.
Yeah.
Dude, this is great.
Thanks, Billy. Awesome, man.